Hi, welcome to Eyes on Books. I'm Fran Conroy, and I'm here with Jonathan Williams, and we're discussing the book we read, The Jilted Countess by Loretta Ellsworth. Apparently, this is a true story. Well, part of it is. As we were reading it, we realized that this occurred after World War II. And the Countess was a Hungarian princess, so the Countess was a countess, not a princess, but she lived like a princess in a beautiful palace with 1,000 acres that was taken over by the communists, first the Nazis and then the communists. So, Jonathan, I'm going to ask you something.
Sure.
As a man, you would probably have the adventures to go and travel. Here, this is a woman in 1946 or 48 that met a GI right after the war, and after spending a few weeks with him, they decided they loved each other, and he was going to send her to America, right?
That's the story.
And
I'll give you a heads up. He jilts her.
Well, don't give the story away.
That's why it's called The Jilted Countess.
Because he kept sending her money.
Yes.
To come to America.
Yes. It was a lovely romance.
Right. And it took 2 years to get a visa to come to the USA.
Right. You kind of have to go back, open your history books, realize the time. The Nazis came in, decimated Hungary. She had been living in Vienna because she was a ballerina. Countess, ballerina. What a wonderful life. Nazis come in, destroy. Then the communist comes in and find enemies everywhere. And they certainly don't value ballerinas and that kind of thing. She's in desperate straits.
She really is. She was on bread lines and couldn't get enough food, and it was terrible. Her father was apparently killed by the Nazis because he's missing.
He never reappears.
Right. And the mother and son were fending for themselves and wouldn't leave Hungary.
Yeah.
She was brave enough to leave to go to Vienna, where she did her ballet and met the GI.
It sounds like a really good love story.
Right.
I mean, Joe, and her name is Rosa. So Rosa and Joe, it's a marvelous story. He seems like a wonderful individual. He's caring, he's tender. He has to go back. He's shipped home from Vienna, but they write letters all the time. And he sends her money.
Right.
So finally, after an interval of 2 years, she finally gets a visa. She comes to where in America? Does she end up not New York City, not Chicago, Minnesota, in farm country.
Right.
This is a vastly different life than she's ever experienced before. What an adventure. I mean, think about it. What an adventure.
What a brave person to do that.
Yes, that's one of the hallmarks of the book.
Right.
Her courage, her bravery.
Right.
That's what drew me to her, honestly.
Yes.
That courage, that steadfastness. And you know what? She's never pitiable. As dire as the circumstances are, you don't feel pity.
No.
You empathize.
Right.
But you don't feel pity. You just admire her stamina, her courage.
And especially when she gets off at the train station and he's not there to meet her.
Yes.
And here comes a couple that says, oh, well, he can't be here for a day or two, so you're going to have to come and live with us. And they're living in a one-bedroom apartment, so-called apartment, with a little boy. And they take her in. And she realizes by the second day, he's not coming. Something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
So, what an amazing, it's based on a true story. We've said that.
Right.
We don't know, some of it probably is at least reimagined.
Yes,
we don't have all the
yes.
details. But, okay, let's jump to the real key turning point. Well, we know that he jilts her. He actually shows up.
Yes. He shows up with his hat in his hand and said, Well, it's been 2 years, and I came back, and I saw my old fiance, and I'm now married. So you're on your own. In a strange country. With one couple that are living, they're not living high on the hog.
No,
they're really poor.
Getting by.
Right. They're digging for flowers and planting their vegetables, and the husband's working in a flour mill, and they have one bedroom and a little boy, and she's there. And oh my gosh.
And to top
I
it
can't
off,
do anything.
so
I've
what
always
do you
had
do
servants.
Now? So what do you do now? Well, the irony is, the drama turns on the fact that she has to return to her home. She's here on a 2-week visa.
Right. GI visa. That's different.
Well,
because you had to marry a GI, in other words, to stay in the States. If you didn't...
That's the turning point there.
Yes.
She has to marry... If she marries a GI, she gets certain privileges. She can stay in America. She's now married to a GI.
And to become a citizen.
I got to remember that. I was born in 1946. That era is still one in which we honor the soldiers who fought, who won the war for America. They were honored, they were respected. We didn't always appreciate the trauma they may have suffered. But in any case, she's got 2 weeks to find a GI. So what does she do?
Yeah, that was very, she was very, very adventurous.
Adventurous.
That's the best word to use.
Courage.
A lot of courage.
Bravery. And guts.
Persistence.
Yes.
Because when she went to the newspaper to put an ad in, they said, "What? No, this won't work."
She found an editor at this newspaper. I guess it had a pretty wide circulation, it sounds like. And so he caught up in the idea. Wow. Woman jilted, looking for GI. And they run this ad, and she goes on several dates. They get to 100. How many letters were there?
Before the ad, she waited over 4 days.
Okay.
So the time was really, really low.
Very short.
And she says, nobody's answered my letter. The next thing is the editor comes in his car and says, well, we got over 1,300 proposals for you, and some sent money. Now go through them and choose 5 that you want to date, because you can't date all of these people in 2 weeks. And the editor actually sat down with her and Mariska and Jacob, the husband that was already there, the Hungarian people that were there, and they started reading through the letters and sorting everything.
How would you choose? It's a good story. We'll leave it at that because there's so much in that. That's the heart of the story. She ends up with, well, let's say, the right one.
Well, it wasn't the right one to begin with, but we're going to cut our little discussion of this story off, and we will be speaking with Loretta in a little bit. So stay tuned, because there's a lot more to this story than you can imagine.
Hello, we're back, and we'd like to take the opportunity to introduce our very special guest, Loretta Ellsworth, the author of the book we're reviewing, The Jilted Countess. Welcome, Loretta.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. This is Fran Conroy. I'm Jonathan Williams. We enjoyed your book, and we're going to spend about 20 minutes talking with you about it. So where are you now? I'm curious. You're living in...
Minnesota.
You're still in Minnesota, huh?
You're still in Minnesota.
Yes.
Well, that's also where the book takes place.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we've already given a little bit of background on the story. we brought our audience up to the point where the letters are going out and Rosa is receiving proposals. So it's based on a real story. And that's so interesting.
It is. Yes. Yes. For me, that's the part that really drew me in when I was reading about it and researching, is the fact that this is actually based on a true story.
It's, Fran?
Go ahead. No,
I was
you
going to say, it's a remarkable story. I think it's important to keep the time frame in mind, the 1940s. I think that's essential. Today, in a world of social media and dating apps, it would never occur to people to do something like this. But in the 1940s, it was not unusual for marriages to be, if not arranged, then at least orchestrated. You know, parents introduced people to each other, but what astonishing courage and fortitude and bravery that Rosa shows, her determination. She's going to make it work.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that what attracted you to her?
Pardon, I didn't hear the last part.
Yeah, is that what attracted you to the story, her character?
Yes, very much her character, her resilience. I read a lot of world wars, and I'm always fascinated by the people, their resilience in face of tragedy and all that they go through, that they are still determined to make a life for themselves. And, just their resilience and going through everything and coming out on the other side.
Right. And this is a story that most people, I don't think, would have the courage after meeting a man for maybe 3 weeks to a month, and then picking everything up and moving to a different country with a different language, different customs, at a time where everything is so war-torn. You didn't expect it. And then to arrive only to find that her fiancé is not there, and here's these strange people that are going to take her in. And I think she had more courage and more strength that she realized she had going through this situation.
I do too. I agree, absolutely. And the fact that she was willing to do, she had 2 weeks left of her visa before she would be shipped back to Hungary. And her family had lost everything in the war.
Right.
So here's this countess who was used to a pretty refined lifestyle, who has 2 weeks in which to marry someone, basically a stranger.
That's it.
And yes, she does it.
Yeah, well, the thing is that back then, when you were royalty, you were already betrothed to somebody you didn't know. So her attitude was, if I was home, I would have the same situation. But the biggest obstacle, I thought, during the whole time is being accepted as a foreigner in this small town where the people are really either gossipers and they have their clique, where you have to bring something special that they could talk about, or basically be alone. And when she met Nellie, there was a camaraderie that just bloomed from that. And I think Nellie helped her find a lot of her strength, too, by being a close friend where she had somebody to talk to as if it was a family member.
One of the things I enjoyed in the book are the contrasts. So initially, it starts off, there's a knight on a white horse. Someone who, a GI, loving, caring, they meet, they date, he loves her, they make a commitment to get married, he sends her letters, she comes to the U.S., and it turns out the knight on the white horse is not quite. And then the contrast at that point, the man she meets and ends up marrying, Finn, is such a different character.
Right.
He's more humble. He's not. He doesn't appear to be the knight on the white horse, but he does in the end. He's the one who rescues her.
Right. He comes through with her help. He
That's
didn't do
true.
it on his own.
That's
He
true.
had her strength and understanding to get through his PTSD. While he could handle it, his brother Jack couldn't handle it.
Loretta, could you tell us? Could you tell us a little bit about your experience in discovering the article in the newspaper, and what was that like finding her? It just seems like
And developing her. The biggest thing is developing her.
We have a
right?
lot of people where we live who are writers or aspiring writers. So I like to talk to authors about sharing some of their experience. What is it like to get this idea? Oh, wait a minute, it's an interesting story here. And then to start piecing it
find
together.
the story, even
Yeah.
to find the story.
But it must have been an
Right.
adventure for you, Loretta. to
Well,
explore
for
this.
me, actually, it started with an article in the Star Tribune. In 2015, Kurt Brown had an article. He had a history corner, and in his history corner, he brought up this Hungarian countess, and it was actually from a previous, a 1948 article that had appeared in the Minneapolis Star newspaper. And when someone had found this old newspaper in their attic and showed it to him, and he wondered if anyone knew what had happened to this woman, because she was this Hungarian countess who lived in a small Minnesota town, and no one knew what happened to her. And my friend actually sent me this 2015 article and said, "This is fascinating. You should write the story." And so I read it, and I was like, yes, it is fascinating. So I ended up spending a lot of time at the Minnesota History Center researching the 1948 article, which is mostly on microfish. And there were about 5 articles they had written about her during that time as they searched for a husband for her. And it was just fascinating. Plus, I did my own research trying to find out what happened to her. Unfortunately, I was never able to find her in real life. I'm still searching, trying to find out what happened to the real countess and what became of her.
It'd be a great coda to the story to actually come up with that and
See
know
if
what
she had
happened to her.
children or whatever,
Yeah.
because she'd be in her hundreds by now.
Yeah.
Right, she would be 100 years old. Yeah. So,
Wow.
but I know in my research that she did have at least one child, and I arranged to I purchased the rights to all the 1948 articles, and I used those articles in the book. Those are actually from the 1948 articles. Also, I put this picture of her in my author note.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, we can see that.
which is
Right.
wonderful. She
She's
was a
lovely.
beautiful
That
woman.
someone will see her and say, "Oh, that's my mother or my grandmother," and
It'd be
I
nice
think
if they
that is.
did.
So maybe we'll find out.
What a remarkable story. She was a ballet star. She was a ballerina,
Yes,
a
she was prima
countess.
ballerina.
It's a remarkable story in and of itself. The whole thing is remarkable.
Yeah.
I think it's like there's gold in there. If I were an author and I got a clue about this story, I'd want to dig it up. I'd want to learn about it. And
Right.
especially, I think, for yourself as an author, to pull this together, to reimagine that whole adventure.
Now, did she
Yes.
really start a ballet school in?
That was fictional.
Okay.
Okay.
I wasn't sure because it would
may
be
have
a
done
good.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. It would have been a
as
good
something
path.
that she might do.
Right.
Yes.
So I basically had the first part of the story because I knew her history and what had happened before, in finding a husband to start out with. And so everything after that, after her marriage, who she selected, all of that was, just my imagination. It was all fiction. But it was fun. It was really fun imagining what her life would be, what kind of things, what kind of obstacles she would face.
Right.
And, living in Minnesota, I can imagine Hungarian Countess, how would she fit into a small Minnesota town? That would be a challenge in itself.
Right. And I like the way you described going through the different sections of town. And she says, I left this for this. And he said it was a nice house. And then when she got to the house, yes, it was a nice house, but how she got there, the areas were not what she expected. So she was afraid she'd be living in something in those areas. So I got a kick out of that.
One of the things that makes your book successful, in my view, is you really learn to care for her. You have to care for the characters. They have to be somebody that you can connect with and marvel at and share their disappointments and their joys. And I think that's something that you accomplished in this book. I learned to really care about Rosa and what's going to happen to her. And I hope things did work out well for her. I certainly hope so. She's a remarkable person. And it's true. And hopefully their love story was everything you wanted it to be.
Well, I don't think it was exactly the way she wanted it to be.
Not originally, but Finn is a good guy.
I know. And when Joe comes back into her life, you wonder, well, is she going to go to Joe after he put her through everything? Or is she going to be strong enough to say, no, I'm going to work this out with Finn? That was I feel that was a big turning point in her reasoning and staying with Finn. She realized everything that she went through, Joe put her through unnecessarily because he couldn't wait. And the fact that Finn was there and he made her feel safe and secure. And that was a big deal for somebody that came from a war-torn country. To feel that safeness and security, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, I agree. And, that was a challenge for me writing. I obviously don't know anyone who is a countess
Right.
or even royalty of any kind. So trying to put myself into her place and still have her be a countess, but someone who you can connect with. That was a challenge in writing that. So I'm glad that you were able to connect with her and cared for her.
Yeah, and the thing is that she wanted to fit in. She didn't want to be a countess. She didn't want to be known as a countess. And the fact that she didn't want her name published, so she wasn't riding on her royalty. She wanted to ride on her ability and to find somebody that would care for her, that would accept her the way she was. And I think that was a big turning point, too, in her life.
Loretta, this is not your first book. You've got several quite successful books. Tell us just a bit about The French Winemaker's Daughter. That's an earlier book that you did.
Right. This is my previous book. It came out last year, The French Winemaker's Daughter. And that's the story of two women 50 years apart who are connected by a very rare bottle of wine.
You do a wonderful job exploring situations, the life of this person, the woman, what she could be, what she was. Be able to imagine that. Be able to craft a story using actual historical elements, but also bringing together certain plot lines that show her character, like Joe coming back. We don't know if that ever happened, probably, but you use that
something
device.
You wonder about. That is one of the things when I am writing. You ask about my process. I wonder about what would happen to her? Would she ever, meet her fiance again or see him again? What would happen if she did? And what would happen in her new life? How would she adjust? How would she adjust to a man that she, barely knew? She'd only met, once or twice. So these are all questions, what ifs that you ask yourself and you explore, and that helps you with the plot and the idea and leads everything forward. You also mentioned they didn't have social media back then. So, this was the only time I think that I've seen in a newspaper article where they asked, where they requested, he became basically a marriage broker.
Right,
He received
right.
so many responses to it. That we kind of think she probably was the first bachelorette.
Yes, there we go.
But the point is that it worked out quite well
Right.
for the
It did.
paper,
Yeah, it's
because of
amazing.
people reading the paper and spreading the word about, oh, you have to read this in the paper. So his readership went up too with this,
He did, yes. I'm
sure
it was
it
a good
did.
story for him.
Yeah.
But nowadays, with social media, I don't think she would be able to,
Attract as many people.
No.
well, I think she would maybe attract people, but she wouldn't be able to remain anonymous like
No.
she did.
Right.
That wouldn't happen today.
Right. Right.
Well, I really like the book. It is a good adventure story. I like the character, and I like the way that you, as you suggested, do kind of what ifs, where you get to explore the character. As if I were a writer, which I never really got to be, but it would be just lovely if I were, I would want to do what you do. I'd want to find a character like that, create that character, bring that character to life, and then go about exploring what if. Loretta, it's been a pleasure having you on our show.
And we hope our readers will get your book, The Jilted Countess by Loretta Ellsworth. It's a good read. It's a nice read, and there are extra twists in the novel that we did not discuss that I think most of you will enjoy. So thank you
Thank
again,
you so
Loretta.
much. It's been a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you, Loretta. It's been a pleasure.
So I want to thank you for tuning in today and enjoying your time, I hope, with Loretta Ellsworth and her book, The Jilted Countess.